The best of Wham. I don't remember which charity shop I bought this from, but I would not have paid more than £1 for it. It is the kind of CD I would buy on the off chance that someone might ask me to play one of the songs. God, I hated Wham. I liked Grandmaster Flash, but I hated white rap, even Blondie. And there they were, Wham on top of the pops, doing Wham rap, and Young Guns, singing about young guns and looking like wimps. Wham were from Bushey, which was just outside the outskirts of northwest London. It is sort of the posh bit of Watford. My band was from just inside the outskirts of London, and while Wham were doing their moves on TV, we were slogging away playing every pub that would have us, including one on the A41 near Bushey, where we got raided by the police. I knew people who knew Wham, which somehow made it worse. Like there was only one place on the Fame bus for the whole of our area, and they got it by cheating. Today we call it cultural appropriation, and I still hate those records. I have never liked Careless Whisper. It sounded to me like a schoolboy lyric, and the last thing I needed in the early 80s was yet another sax solo. Careless Whisper was not on this CD, probably because it was a George Michael solo single. But weren't they all? Needless to say, I'm also not a fan of Club Tropicana and Last Christmas. I'm sure at first I scoffed at Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, but soon it became a guilty pleasure. It was too preposterous not to admire. It was too well crafted not to admit the genius. And at the time I liked to like what the cool people hated, like Dancing Queen. Then George Michael gave us some genius songs with infectious Motown beats. Songs like I Don't Want Your Freedom and I'm Your Man. The melodies and arrangements on these songs transcend the 80s production. I imagine how amazing they would all have sounded had they been recorded by the Funk Brothers in Hitsville, USA. Maybe with some Memphis horns. And then George took us to the edge of heaven. There are some soul numbers on this album, but it is all 80s soul by numbers. Nile Rodgers guitar, slappy bass, digital synths and reverb, all very bright. Dayglow socks and rah-rah skirts, and George and Andy with streaky hair and short shorts, and George wanting to be Smokey and Marvin. But his voice was a bit too immature at the time, a bit too Hertfordshire Cypriot. Even so, I was still surprised that George Michael dropped the Catherine Hamnett t-shirts and the 80s choreography and went so easily from a boy band to a pouting rock star pretending to strum a Bo Diddley beat on an acoustic guitar with designer stubble and a leather jacket. I always thought that everything George Michael did was an act, and it turned out I was right. He was actually quietly a hero. A shy, generous man who gave money and support to good causes. Wham! The best of Wham!